"38 years ago today, October 4th, 1967, approximately 20 after 11 in the evening, something happened in Shag Harbor that became quite memorable in later years.
The night of October 4th, 67 has become known as the night of the UFOs among many UFO researchers. The Shag Harbor incident has become the best known aspect of that night.
Chris Stiles and Don Ledger have spent the past decade researching the 1967 Shag Harbor USO incident. The case was widely reported in Canada at the time, but had been largely forgotten in subsequent years. Their 2001 book, Dark Object, reopened the case, shedding new light on the many alleged USO events of that night and the week following.
The reason that the Shag Harbor incident came to the forefront and kind of eclipsed the importance of the other sightings from the night of the UFOs is simply the fact that it's the one case where something came down out of the sky and crashed into the water. You know, it made a noise, it made a flash. It's also unique in the sense that nobody reported a UFO. Several calls came in very quickly to the nearby Royal Canadian Mounted Police Detachment, and those reports said simply that people had seen lights, or perhaps an aircraft had crashed into the waters of what they called the Sound. The interest and the concern was totally for the possibility of survivors. Nobody reported a UFO.
I'm not surprised now that I had seen something in the sky that night, because all over Nova Scotia, the night of the Shag Harbor incident, there were many UFO reports.
Just up around the bend, we'll be coming into Shag Harbor, and the site crowd gathered and watched whatever it was that happened here 38 years ago today.
Each year, Ledger and Stiles make an anniversary trip to Shag Harbor to meet with Norm Smith, one of only 3 surviving witnesses.
See the island out there? That's where it all took place, right off there. That's where we've seen the light in the water.
Hey, sir. How you been?
Good.
Wow.
How are you?
Same old, that's good.
The 3 of us stood on the lawn watching the lights. Eventually it started going, it looked like it was moving to us, and then on a downward slope towards the ground. We thought it was a plane crash. So we jumped in the vehicle in my old man's car and my uncle's, and we went up to this spot right here by the Irish Moss plant. And when we got here, there was probably 10, 12 other people. We watched the lights on the water for a period of 2 or 3 minutes, and then the lights disappeared.
What happened next is indisputable. From before midnight on Wednesday, the 4th of October, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police officers who had witnessed the event from the shoreline searched the water on boats until 3 a.m. with the help of several local fishermen, including Norm Smith. On Friday, the 6th of October, Canadian Navy divers from Halifax arrived and searched the area over the weekend.
Eventually, 7 divers were dispatched from the Fleet Diving Unit in Halifax and taken down to Shag Harbor. The search effort continued through all the daylight hours of Saturday and Sunday, and by Monday morning that search was officially terminated in Ottawa, and they just simply state unidentified flying object and circle it and underline it.
According to Canadian government records, the object traveled from south to north along the Nova Scotia coastline. At one point it stopped and hovered. Then, at approximately 11:20 p.m., it entered the water at a 45-degree angle, 300 yards off the shore.
Directly behind me where we seen the lights, right at Bomb Portage Island, directly behind me.
When the Royal Canadian Mounted Police officers that had responded to the call arrived at the shoreline of Old Highway number 3, the UFO was still moving upon the surface of the water. The object also appeared to be leaving a trail of dense yellow foam.
In the week following the 4th of October, the case was front-page news across Canada, and the story became even more mysterious. Ledger and Stiles state in their book that in the days just prior to the Canadian military's official classification of this incident as a UFO event, a second craft entered the waters off Nova Scotia to rendezvous with the first craft.
Then this thing resumed its headway back down this way, at about 4,400 miles an hour and came down through northern New Brunswick, straight down over the Bay of Fundy, across the southwestern tip of Nova Scotia, across this way, and went down in the water here.
Authorities already knew the object was no longer there, that it had moved under the water and had come to rest on the seabed. It sat there for almost a week, right to the hour. And after that time, it began moving under the water to the Gulf of Maine with the aid of a second craft that was helping repair it. And the two of them broke the surface of the water and flew away out over the Gulf of Maine. Interestingly enough, there is a second report of a sighting 1 week in Shag Harbor of two sets of lights, one orange, one yellow, leaving the water and flying away.
This case continues to inspire debate and research into the events of the 4th of October, 1967.
There are a large amount of primary documents that support interpreting Shag Harbor as a crash scenario of a UFO. And in one of the paragraphs, it actually says a preliminary investigation has been conducted, and it has been discovered that this object is not the result of a flare, float, downed aircraft, or in fact any known object.
I didn't know then, back 30-odd years ago, I didn't know whether it was a UFO or what it was. But nobody will ever make me believe that there was nothing there, because it was.
Coming up, video evidence of what might possibly be a USO emerging from the waters of Laguna Cartagena in Puerto Rico.
And they are coming towards Laguna Cartagena.
And a University of California scientist reveals that supersonic speed by deep-sea UFOs is not only scientifically possible, but likely.